Hi, my name's Byron Martin here at Logis, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite fruiting trees, the mulberry. The mulberry is a tree that's both native to the eastern United States and to Asia. Today we're going to be talking about the black mulberry, which is the Asian variety. And in our work here at Logis, we're always trying to select plants that can fit in containers, can grow well as potted plants, that have reduced size in terms of how they perform in containers and that fruit early. And one of the varieties of mulberries that we came across is the one we call the Dwarf Everbearing. And this is probably a Morus nigra, which is an Asian variety. It pretty much produces fruit year-round for us. And here we are in the springtime. This has been in a greenhouse where it actually is deciduous, dropped all its leaves. First flush of growth that came out was young fruit, and you can see the young fruit ripening here, and here's some of the small black fruit that have just started to ripen, and it's very productive over a long period of time. The fruiting on this has been going on for probably maybe a month and a half now, and it still has an abundance of fruit coming on it. The fruit will actually ripen, obviously, and then falls off or we pick them and eat them. And then it flushes into another set of growth as the season goes on, and another cycle of bloom comes. And it can happen actually one more time before we hit the fall period. It'll go back into fruit again. So there isn't any really set cycle on it as long as it's an active growth. This little mulberry is producing fruit. Now, the size of the fruit is quite small relative to what we know as mulberries, but they're quite sweet. As far as fertilizer, watering, they do need feed because they're grown in containers, and if you don't fertilize them, the leaves will actually turn quite pale. They still fruit, by the way, but you'll get more out of the plant if you apply fertilizer to it on a regular basis during its growing season. Caution, don't overdo it. Mulberries are very vigorous. Too much fertilizer will create rank growth even in a small container like this. But the other thing about mulberries is you can prune them. So you can see the height on this is quite tall. Once this is done its fruiting cycle, this could be brought right back down to this level right here, flush out, start growing again, start going right back into flower. They don't have a great deal of problems with their root system, so there's really not an issue with root rot, although you do need to grow them somewhat restricted. That will help maintain the size for them. So they actually become a tabletop tree rather than a 4 or 5 foot tree. As far as insects go, the only thing we've ever really had problems with is spider mite, and that is never outside and very rarely, but if they do get very dry in the wintertime and they're holding their foliage, which they can under warm conditions, we can see some problems with spider mite. Other than that, they're pretty much insect free. So in growing these, you can grow these warm. You can grow them at 60 degrees. They may not totally defoliate in the wintertime for you. Or you can grow them down to freezing in a container or even a little below. Outside, they're not hardy where we are, which is zone 5, 6. You have to go a zone or 2 zones south. And of course, whenever we're growing a plant, we need to know what the light conditions are. Mulberries are full sun plants. Certainly they could grow under diffusion in some shade, but they won't produce as much fruit as if you put them right out in the blazing sun or keep them in a bright sunny window or in a conservatory that has bright sun to it. Another variety that we grow is the Morus Acai, which is a Japanese cultivar. This is also a very low-growing and free-fruiting variety. The fruit is a little bit larger than our Everbearing variety, and the habit of it is a little lower growing and a little bit more mounding. And it produces fruit throughout the season, usually 2 or 3 times during the summer. So thank you for watching. That's a little bit of information on growing our Everbearing mulberries. Hope that helps, and you can visit us at logis.com for more information.